Hey guys, what it do? It's your boy Supreme Uchiha the God. Today I wanted to tackle something that has bothered me for many years now. I've probably mentioned it occasionally here and there, but today I want to slightly expand upon it and delve deeper into the roots of the problem. Now, you've read the title, you know what is up. Japan and Korea. In fact, many Eastern Asian countries in general have a massive problem when it comes to work life balance. This is something I've realized by observation and personal experience. Let me just begin with a short story. A few years ago, I finished university and, I was job hunting and struggling immensely. I live in Ireland, by the way. And I eventually got hooked up for an interview by a friend of mine. He's from Hong Kong and he was working with others from China. The Chinese individuals were opening a new business and required an English native to deal with marketing. My friend recommended me and I passed the interview with flying colors. I mean, come on. They wanted to hire me on a short-term part-time basis in order to check my work ethic, creativity, and abilities. This would essentially be a trial period where they could decide whether or not they like me enough to hire me. However, I was already working at a different company at the time, a job I wasn't particularly interested in, but it paid the bills, I guess, and I just came straight out of college. I sent in my notice to my team leader because I was pretty confident I'd get it. And look, I got along with my team leader, and I told him it wasn't guaranteed yet. So he said, "Look, if it doesn't work out for me, I could come back anytime, and he'll put in a good word for me to make sure they hire me back." So I was pretty much in safe comfort. Um, Now, my trial period was for 2 weeks, and the new job insisted that I work for them straight after my other job as they were in a rush to launch. So that meant for those 2 weeks, I worked my regular 9 to 5, then made my way directly to the new job and worked some more there, often until 11 p.m., sometimes midnight, sometimes 2 a.m. And you gotta understand, I gotta wake up at like 7 a.m. to go to work again the next day because I gotta get a bus and shower and change. You know the biz. Now, on my days off for my 9 to 5, I spent essentially the whole day with the new job. Safe to say I was extremely exhausted, but I'm fresh out of college, full of energy and ambition. So I trucked on. Some weeks I worked up to 90 hours. Well, around 80 something, but close to 90. In between all of this, I was still making music and working on an album. So really, if you count that, it's bro, you already know. And look, I was still working on the album Sad Boy Ultra. It's out, by the way. It came out like two years ago, almost three now. You can check it out on your Spotify. It's good. I think plug plug. Oh, you didn't hear that. Anyways, my hours, as mad as they sound, only lasted for like 2 weeks before I demanded that they either hire me full time or I go back to my other job because it just simply wasn't sustainable. And look, the two business owners that in the new job that gave me the trial period, well, my hours in comparison to theirs, well, there's really no comparison. You gotta understand. After I worked with them for 2 years, I learned that as I worked with them, that essentially they were overworking themselves. I'm still in touch with them today, and they're and they and us are glad that we ended our business relationship with no ill will, and we still occasionally meet up for coffee or tea when they can spare a minute of the day or an hour or two, and sometimes we can't because they still overwork themselves. They work like crazy. But thanks to me and a woman I consider a mentor in many ways, we convinced them to take days off. Up until then, they hadn't taken days off for years. I think one took a day off for a wedding because he was getting married. A day off for a wedding. One. Back to work the next day. And the other has already been married for like Yonkers and hadn't had a day off for how God knows how many years. I think he was at work when his child was being birthed. He did leave early, but he still showed up. So this just shows the work ethic and the diligency of that culture, right? And people from Eastern Asia. Now, myself and this mentor, we saw them burning themselves to the ground, and we convinced them eventually before we left to take some days off and to take some time off. Now they take one day off every 2 weeks. Sometimes they don't, but most months they'll have a day or two off, which is a massive improvement from the usual schedule. This probably sounds nuts to you, like 1 day off a month, once every 2 weeks. Yeah, it just shows how crazy the mentality is. And I'm gonna get into that now. The key thing here is cultural difference. You see, to them, having 0 days off was normal. It was regular. They've been, doing business since the early 20s and have been working themselves to an early grave since then. They did this in hopes of an earlier retirement, perhaps, or for the security of the children, too. But subconsciously, they did this because in their world, in their society, it is the norm and it is what is expected of them. We see CEOs and billionaires on TV rave on about how they sleep 6 hours a day and work for the rest of the day. And we are immensely impressed. Like, whoa, no wonder they are successful. Whilst whole nations and cultures do the very same thing, a majority of which do not bear the same fruits as these rich personals on our screens. And yet we rage and get mad, angry, and sad when our favorite creators, mangakas and webtoon writers and artists in particular, or even musicians, when they take extended breaks, often after years of overworking in a culture full of people overworking. Now imagine being seen as somebody who overworks in a culture full of people that overwork. Even those people think you overwork. It could only mean you're killing yourself. But why? Is it due to the pressure and expectations? Think about our favorite creators who often refuse to fold under this pressure and continue to create and work until their bodies refuse to function, often leading to creators such as Masatoshi Usuna, Desert Punk, being hospitalized for years. After many of these mangakas have an assistant who also works hard, but they must bear the brunt of the work, meet with editors, do the brunt of the art, come up with the full story for that chapter, whilst thinking ahead, making whatever changes are demanded, often 20 pages worth of material every single week. Doing so for years on end damages the wrist and arm, the brain, the mind. Just think about it, sitting in the same position, often for nearly 20 hours in a day. Like the Yu Yu Hakusho author, Yashihiro Tagashi, or our beloved SIU, the Tower of God creator, who's currently at the time of writing on a nearly 8 months layoff due to sickness caused by overwork. Authors are therefore sometimes forced to take breaks by the same culture and businesses that forced them to be that way in the first place. In fact, this problem of people overworking themselves to death is such an issue in places such as Japan that the word karoshi was born from this. People often die of overwork in these countries. That's why it's my motto. And there aren't many videos on my channel where I encourage writers to take these breaks. It is my motto that even if it's for 5 years, 7 years, 8 years, 2 years, 9 months, authors and creators should take the time they need, because at the end of the day, health should be the number one priority. Yet, here we are, most of us in a society where work is being pushed as the end all be all. America has a similar work culture, perhaps not as brutal, but many there also feel this pressure of having to work and do overtime in order to make ends meet. And in Japan and Korea and places like those, it's even worse because they don't even take paid holidays for the most part. Only taking work off out of necessity because they feel like the culture, the work culture, would frown upon them and shun them for taking days off, quote unquote, unnecessarily. We as the audience need to lessen our demands, or we need to convince the publisher to lessen their creators' demands. But something surely must be done to protect our creators. If an author like or Martin takes 10 years to write a book, so be it. We must have the same patience with our mangakas and webtoon artists. One of the key reasons why stories often begin so strong and end up so poorly could be due to these reasons. Ever noticed that some stories should have finished years ago but somehow keep going? Dragon Ball Z, One Piece. Whoo! Money, money, money. If it churns out money, the publishers demand more of it. Capitalism at its finest, and it's killing our creators. I know I didn't offer many, if any, solutions, but I mainly just wanted to start the conversations and hope my bigger counterparts who, cover manga and webtoons will also join in and perhaps do a much better job than I at delving into every nook and cranny of the matter. Alas, I bid you adieu. I feel I might make more of these videos, but they do take a great deal of effort. So please smash the like button and share this video to show me that you want more. I might talk about the music industry next and drug abuse there and why so many artists seem to overdose, unfortunately. It's been your boy Spiritual to God. I'm out.
I got friends now. You ain't know, but I got friends now.